That's my baby crying in the background. I apologize. But I was saying the poll undertaken by two U.S. nonprofit organizations, Terror Free Tomorrow, the Center for Public Opinion. I want to thank my wife for silencing her when she did. As always, she's a great help to me. But the poll undertaken by two U.S. nonprofit organizations, the Terror Free Tomorrow, the Center for Public Opinion, and the American Strategy Program at the New American Foundation, America Foundation. This poll was conducted from May 11th to May 20th. It was the third in a series of polls over the past 2 years. It was conducted via telephone from a neighboring country, probably Dubai. Field work was carried out in Farsi or Persian by a polling company whose work in the region for ABC News and the BBC has received an Emmy Award. So these are all Western accredited, well-respected, well-rewarded organizations and polling companies that participated in this poll. The polling was funded by the Rockefeller Brothers Fund and thus had nothing to do with the government of Iran or with Ahmadinejad. Um, and the finds of this poll were interesting. For example, the Western media, and in particular CNN, want us to believe that the youth of Iran are all for Musavi. Well, this poll found that this is a misconception because Western reporters only talk to northern Tehran-based people who are generally very rich and well off and westernized, and they tend to emulate uh, and adulate or emulate and admire Western pop culture. Again, this is a very minuscule portion of the Iranian population, probably less than 1%. These Western reporters hang out in these circles, they go to their parties, and they get all their opinions from them. It's no surprise that they're so off the mark once again. Um, the poll was taken by Ken Balin and Patrick Doherty, and they found that only a third of Iranians of the 18 to 24-year-old, excuse me, that 18 to 24-year-olds was the strongest demographic in favor of Mahmoud Ahmadinejad. Now let me repeat that. The strongest demographic in favor of Ahmadinejad was 18 to 24-year-olds. Interesting. CNN has never mentioned this. I wonder why. Um, the other thing that people have brought up, and CNN has brought up again and again as proof of vote rigging, um, is the fact that Musavi lost in his home province. Well, here's what the Balin and Doherty survey found. The breadth of Ahmadinejad's support was apparent in their pre-election survey. During the campaign, for instance, Musavi emphasized his identity as an Azeri, which is where that region is. The second largest ethnic group in Iran after Persians, to woo Azeri voters, his own ethnic group. Um, our survey indicated, they say, that Azeris, Musavi's ethnicity, favored Ahmadinejad by 2 to 1 over Musavi. It is not difficult to see why. Ahmadinejad had gone out of his way to help the poor and dispossessed in Iran. They in turn came out to vote for him with their feet. The survey also confirmed what we already said, that Musavi's support came primarily from university students and graduates and the high-income Iranians. These are people that are well connected. Now, remember, not the majority of students, but the majority of his support came from students. The majority of students voted for Ahmadinejad. These are people that are well connected and are able to convey their thoughts and ideas to Western reporters. Hence the kind of images that we are seeing from Iran. Line number 2. People are being suppressed brutally. The contradiction here is obvious. For example, um, a lady who was tragically killed in unknown circumstances, Neda, has been hailed as a martyr by CNN. Yet her fiance says that they were traveling in a car, got stuck in traffic jam, and she got out because her car was moving too slow and stood by some people who were demonstrating. Well, how is a tragic death of a person who did not even mean to demonstrate and was not even at the demonstrations but was standing nearby, who was killed in unknown circumstances? And we will, again, later in this presentation, we will show you what kind of agents are working within Iran and how they are trying to spread terror. For example, there was a suicide bombing at the shrine of Imam Khomeini that CNN has not reported on. And there have been many attacks in the Sistan Balochistan province by leaders, by a group called Jundullah, whose leaders clearly openly admit that they are funded by the U.S. But that is it just goes on and on. But let's get back to Neda. CNN says that she had a degree in philosophy, was traveling with her music teacher, had tried to play the violin, but instead decided on the piano and had ordered piano, and that one was on the way. Now, CNN does not have the shame or journalistic integrity to ask a very obvious question. How can a country that it claims is repressive, dictatorial, especially with women, how is it that a repressive regime that is misogynistic, how is it that women are getting philosophy degrees and they are traveling with their music teachers and learning how to play the piano and violin? How is it that in this country there are more women in the Iranian parliament than in the U.S. Congress? How is it that the vice president of Iran, of a former cabinet member who was a vice president, she was a woman? How is it that women are at the leading edge of Iranian society? They participate in sports. They are soldiers, doctors, lawyers, taxi cab drivers. How is that possible? How is it that Ahmadinejad, who drew much larger crowds, 10, 11 times larger crowd than Mousavi's, how come CNN has never reported that there were women amongst those crowds, and there were liberal women amongst those crowds who openly decried Mousavi and his failed policies of Khatami, who Mousavi was representing? Why does CNN not report on this? Line number 3, the security forces in Iran have been brutal. Again, this is a blatant lie without any investigation or substantiation. In fact, if we look at CNN coverage, within the CNN coverage lies proof of the fact that the security forces and police in Iran have been very even-handed in the face and very restrained in this face of provocation. We will continue this presentation.